everyone. I find the idea of a souffle very stressful. Everything I have ever heard about souffles is that if everything doesn't go 100% perfectly, then the whole project is doomed. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to make anything for company that I'm not 100% sure is going to turn out perfectly. So I've never tried to make a souffle before. I was going through Claire Saffitz's book, What's for Dessert, and I saw that she had a souffle recipe. I figure if anyone can make a souffle approachable, it will be her. So today I'm going to give it a try. Come bake with me. So with all good baking projects, we're going to start with preparing our pans. Oops. So I'm just going to brush the insides with butter all the way around, being sure to get every last little nook and cranny here. Oh, I forgot. She does say when you do the sides to brush straight up to give the souffle something to climb onto. And now we're going to sugar them. I'm going to take a large spoonful of sugar and put it in one ramekin, just like I do for cakes. I'm going to, as I do the sides, pour the excess off into the next ramekin that I'm going to do. I find that helps me get all the way to the end and not miss any spots. For the last one, I'll just do what's left onto a paper towel. You don't want to do it back into your sugar bowl because now this sugar has butter on it. You don't want that. All right. Our ramekins are prepared. All right, we need 2 egg yolks. Which one of my egg yolks broke, so I'm not sure I'm going to get 2 out. That's close. All right, we'll put the other one in a minute. And then we need 3 tablespoons sugar. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to whisk that in. Now we add in the 3rd egg yolk, plus however much of the other one my spatula can get out. This is what I get for trying to prep things ahead of time. I want this to be well combined and pale in color. Now I'm going to stream in the milk and the coffee. 2 tablespoons flour, cocoa powder, cocoa powder number 2. That's as smooth and as non-lumpy as I can get it, so we're going to go over to our double boiler. Alright, so I've got my warm steamy water that I've been preheating, and I'm going to whisk this until it is, what does she say? The foam has subsided and faintly holds the mark of a whisk. 5 to 7 minutes. Enjoy the montage. Okay, I can really feel the thickening, so I'm going to add in the chocolate. We're just going to let that sit for a second to melt, and then we'll mix it in to fully melt. All right, I let that sit for about a minute. I'm going to mix in the chocolate. The bowl is way too hot to hold. We're going to let that cool. Double boiler. Add in my egg whites, salt, and the vanilla. We're going to beat on a low speed to break up the egg whites and then increase the speed and then slowly add in the sugar. Yep, stiff peaks. So we're going to incorporate our egg whites into our chocolate mixture. We're going to do a third and whisk in quickly, and then fold in 2 more batches. All right, that looks streak-free to me. So I want to fill each ramekin to the very top, gently. Let's face it, this one needs a little bit of help and this one has too much. So we're just gonna scoochy over here a little tiny bit. All right. So this should be even with the top. This is just making a humongous mess. Okay, well, now that I've made an enormous mess. So now we're going to sprinkle the top, whoops, with a little bit of sugar. Now we're gonna, 1 ramekin at a time, take my thumb and just run it along the edge to make sure that it's got a clean edge so that this apparently helps it rise straight. As someone who really doesn't like getting their hands messy, this is not my favorite step. All right, I preheated my oven to 425, but now I'm going to put these in and reduce the temperature to 375 for 15 to 20 minutes. Full transparency, I made this last week and it was an unqualified disaster, so we're trying it again. Starting with our half and half. Vanilla bean paste, that was some. You're supposed to scrape a vanilla bean pod, I didn't. Pinch of salt. You want to heat this until it's just starting to simmer below the surface, so let's speed this up. All right, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it is just barely starting to simmer below the surface, and there are the tiniest wisps of steam. So I'm going to turn the heat off. Oops, that's the wrong way. Turn the heat off, move that, and now we are going to set that aside, and now we are going to whisk our sugar into our egg yolks until it forms a ribbon. She says it'll take about 2 minutes. Alright, it's thick, it's lightened in color just a little bit, and we are getting that nice smooth ribbon. So we're going to blanch the eggs now. Where I went wrong before was I got it way too hot, and the next thing I knew, instead of having a delightfully smooth custard, I had vanilla flavored scrambled eggs. I'll put some outtakes at the end. It was not a success. Awful, I think, is the word that you would use. It's certainly the word I would use. Because it went so poorly last time, I am checking it with a thermometer. She says I want 170, and I am so close. Oh, there we go, 170, turning off the heat. Checking it with a wooden spoon. I don't think we're there yet.
We're close, but I don't think we're there yet. There we go. Alright, I'm calling that done before I end up with custard flavored scrambled eggs again.
Here are my final thoughts. These are good, very good. And even though I overbaked them, they were still stable enough that even with the extra time spent filming these final shots, they never collapsed like the horror stories you often hear. The texture is lighter than cake, but very sturdy, and the crème anglaise sauce was the absolute perfect complement to the rich chocolatey flavor. A few important metrics. Is this recipe worth making at home? With 1 being Oreos, totally not worth making, and 5 being chocolate chip cookies, totally worth making. This recipe is a 2. If you're absolutely set on trying to impress with a souffle, then absolutely use this recipe. But considering the time involved and the technical challenge, using a double boiler, getting the egg whites to just the right level, and incorporating them so as to keep as much air as possible, if you want something super chocolatey, personally, I think I'd rather go with the chocolate wave cake in Claire's other book, Dessert Person, which I also have a video on. Can or should this recipe be made in advance, with 1 being souffle? Absolutely not going to keep well, and 5 being fruitcake will literally keep forever. This recipe's a 1, obviously. There's a reason souffles are my benchmark for this category. The fact that these won't keep well makes having them for dessert at a dinner party difficult, because either you serve dessert an hour after you have dinner, depending upon the party, this might be fine, but you won't be participating as you'll be making this. Or you'll miss dinner entirely so that when your guests are ready for dessert, these are just coming out of the oven. Your mileage may vary. How hard was this recipe, with 1 being instant pudding and 5 being the multi-layer death by chocolate cake? I'd say this recipe is a 4.5. This is definitely a technical challenge, and the most difficult thing I've made on this channel by far. Now, if you really enjoy testing yourself and want to try something hard but not impossible, go for it. I can't recommend this recipe enough. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload a new video every Friday. And hit that like button if you liked it. If you have a recipe you'd like to see me try, please put it in the comments. And I'll see you next week.
Alright, it's bubbling around the edges, and you can kind of see it shimmering under the surface. So we're going to turn off the heat, set that aside for a moment. Then I'm going to blanch the eggs. 5 egg yolks, 1 of which I broke, and sugar. I'm just going to mix these together real quick. Going to what is this called? Tempering. This is tempering. Just very slowly raise the temperature of the eggs. Now we're going to do it the other way. See how well I can whisk with my left hand. Alright, now we stir this constantly, being sure to scrape the sides and the bottom until it's cooked all the way through, and it'll coat the back of the spoon. Oh, you can see it's starting to thicken now. It took about 3 minutes, so we're almost there, I think. Oh, I don't want it to boil. Don't boil. Stop it. She also says we can take its temperature, and it should be, yep, that's done. It should be 170, and it hit 190, so that'll be done. All right, let's do the back of the spoon thing. Yep. Ow. Hot. Don't boil. Stop it. Just because I did get it a little hot, I'm going to push it through a strainer into my container. Then I'm going to put it in the fridge. Oh yeah, I definitely got that really hot.